Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. My name's Phil. This is Monday nights. It's 7:30. We're live every week. If you're watching this on playback, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. Enjoy us. Come join us live next week, maybe. Every Monday, you can get your views, you can get your comments in. We've got loads to talk about. I've got John Sinclair, the master, the maestro, John Sinky Sinclair, joining us very, very shortly. We can look back at the defeat to Arsenal. How much did we miss Madders? I want to get your views in on that. But mostly, we're going to look forward to the game tomorrow night against Blackburn in the FA Cup. So join us live for the next 30 minutes. Leicester Fan TV.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome. If you're watching live on YouTube, get your views in. Matty's watching on YouTube tonight. Good evening, Matty. Hope you're well. How is it over there in Ireland? Ian, the Super Fox, good evening to you. Jay on YouTube as well. Good evening, Jay. Hope you're well. Hayden as well on YouTube. Hashtag United there in his little thing. Hope you're well, Hayden. LCFC Gray says, Phil, we have had a massive mental block with self-belief when it comes to playing the so-called Big Six. Gray, is it that? Or did we just miss Madders? Do you know what? I actually thought we did really okay on Saturday against the team at the top of the Premier League. I thought a lot of fans maybe thought it was bad, but I don't know. We'll see what Sinky thinks in a minute in there. Boohoo Records and Rags, how are you doing out there in rainy LA? I know it's been a bit snowy out there. Hope you're doing well out there. We are live as well tonight on Facebook in the Facebook group, Leicester Fan TV chat group. Hi Dan, hope you're well. Get your views in, get your comments in. If you're watching this live, you know you can comment and we will get in there. Snazzy shirt, thank you. I was waiting for a comment on this. Anybody else remember this shirt? Let me know the year. Let me know what it is. What am I wearing tonight? Thank you for that. Wayne, hope you're well. Doing really well. Jay says, Yuri out is a loss for us. Hope it's not serious. I've not heard the latest, Jay, on that injury. It didn't look good. And Jay, I want to talk to you and everybody else about Yuri, and we'll ask Sinky this as well in a minute. Yuri hasn't signed a contract. He's one bad tackle away from having nobody to buy him and no contract. It's a bit of a dangerous place. Could that injury make him think, do you know what, I best sign a new contract pretty damn sharp with Leicester City? Nobody came in for him last summer. Nobody came in January in there. Nick says, Saturday was a gutless performance. It wasn't gutless. It was decent, Nick. It wasn't gutless. One shot all game and not corners, not good enough. I don't think he was gutless because actually I thought we defended pretty well against one of the most informed team, Nick. But it was just, we missed Madders. That's my opinion. We were poor in that area. Andy says, were you parked your horse? Andy, no idea what you're on about in there. Training gear, circa 95, 96. Actually, I can't remember if it actually made it to be a third team kit at some point in there. Yuri is off the ball at the moment, says Jonathan. Do you think it might make him want to sign a contract, though? Because, honestly, if he was out for a few weeks, for a few months, he's going to be in a funny position because nobody, come June, when he's out of contract, what goes on? I don't know. Heard he was seen with a boot on his foot, says Boohoo Records and Rags. Yes, I believe he was as well. So we'll have to learn how to play without Madders, says LCFC Grey. Already given up that James Maddison's going to leave us in the summer. What a difference it makes. So listen, keep getting your comments in. Want to get as many as them in, but I want to get the views of the maestro, John Sinclair Sinky. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. I think that shirt, like one of those split scarves, looks like Leicester against Wolves or something.
Yeah, I believe this is. Crikey, I think it is about 95, 96. I believe it was a third kit, but
Oh, was it?
I'm not sure if they ever played in it or if it was
I
just
could
brought
see
out.
why they wouldn't play in it, to be honest.
It's a great kit, John. Based on a 1910 kit or something like that, a 1950.
Well, I had a Japanese lady stay with me, so behind me I've got a Japanese shirt. If I mean that,
Yeah,
we can just see
very
it.
snazzy. I do like that. Yeah, with the Leicester shirt as well. Is that your Soyuncu shirt?
Yeah. He doesn't get to play that often now, though. It's funny how players, when he first started, he came in for that guy who went to Man United. Him and Evans were solid as a rock for a while, and then things started to go a bit awry for him. So I was kind of surprised he's still here in a way, but because there were rumours he was going to go.
Yeah, he was going to go. John, Jay says here, if I was the Foxes, we don't worry if Yuri wants to stay. He'll stay. It's horrible to say, but we need players like who want to be here to play for the badge. And I think Mendy is undervalued. Obviously, Yuri got injured on Saturday. It looked a little bit like it might be a nasty one as well. Do you think it might have an influence on him wanting to sign a contract, John? Because it is a funny position he finds himself in.
Yeah, obviously we don't know the outcome of the assessment of the injury yet and how long he might be out for. I think he left with a big boot on, from what I understand. But I guess we'll get more information as the weeks go on. It is, like you say, a strange situation that they haven't talked about a contract yet. But we're just entering into March now, aren't we? So a few months left for them to get something done. As you say, nobody's come in. We know he's got quality on occasion, although he is prone to losing the ball on occasion as well. I know some people get frustrated with that, but he has got that quality sometimes when it's needed. He's an international player as well. So wouldn't mind having him around for a year or two more, actually, because the Madison factor, we're going to talk about that, I'm sure, really missing on Saturday because he just has something different. And if he does go in the summer, we're probably going to need, I think, the thinking is a couple of players in that sort of position, but let's hope we don't have to go there. But with Tillemans, there's a fair chance that Leicester might be able to keep him, but we'll wait and see.
John, we are going to talk mostly today about Blackburn and which players are going to play in there. But just before we get on to the Blackburn game, Boohoo Records and Rag says here, what game were you watching, Phil? Anybody can put 11 players behind the ball. We just surrendered the wings to them. Nothing going forward to the 60th minute. Villa had a go at them and gave them a serious scare. John, I thought we did okay on Saturday. Just Maddison, like you were saying there, just what a hole he leaves. That creativity, isn't it?
Well, you say you did okay, but you got to watch your team because you want to see them attacking. And we did, to a certain extent, get forward, but with no threat whatsoever. I mean, the only shot we had was near the end, and it was off target. So, I was listening on the radio. I wasn't at the game, but it just seemed like it was all Arsenal. And then, obviously, I got to 0-0 at half-time. I was thinking, well, I think I'd be happy with that. A draw out of that game, for me, would have been a decent result. First minute of the second half, we're 1-0 down with no way of looking like we're going to come back. Tried all the subs, nothing seemed to work. So I can see why fans would be frustrated with that, because with the bigger teams, Leicester have got a tradition of having a go, and we beat some of the top teams as well. I mean, look at Tottenham. That was a great result and a great performance. So, I can see why people are frustrated.
Yeah, you sort of buy into that, because I think I was slightly surprised to see so many fans after the match on Saturday, John, commenting that they thought we'd been negative and just part the bus and not tried to do anything. I thought that last 10, 15 minutes, especially with Vardy on, he looked a little bit menacing up there. I thought we might just snatch a draw. And I think if you offered me at the start of the game that you might get a draw against Arsenal, I don't know. I've been a bit anti-Brendan this season, but I thought without Maddison, I don't think it was too far off.
Well, yeah, you could argue that. Missing Maddison, I think Gary Lineker said on Match Today on Saturday, when his boys found out Maddison wasn't playing, they all went, oh, no.
Well, yeah. I think we all did.
Yeah, so exactly. Because obviously he's been ill, and there's a chance now I think he might play. We might see him against Blackburn, of course, tomorrow. But, yeah.
Would you play? I mean, on Blackburn, would you, if Madders was fit enough, would you drop him back in against Blackburn, John, though?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I would,
You would?
because the FA Cup to me is something we've got to play for now, because it's staying it, keeping out of trouble in the league. The League Cup's gone. The FA Cup's a chance to do something, and we did it a couple of years ago, so why not again? So I'd like them to see a fairly strong side coming out against Blackburn, who are doing very well in the Championship. In the playoff positions at the moment. So if Madison's got a chance to, well, whether he starts him or whether he brings him on is obviously going to be up to him. But certainly like to see him in action tomorrow.
Yeah, the councillor says here, defensively we did really well. Victor is a jewel of a player, kept Saka contained really well, which he did. Nick says this, Sinky, on Saturday, and this leads us in again to a Blackburn conversation for tomorrow. Brendan Rodgers made the wrong decision, says Nick, in dropping Mendy for Wilf. Mendy scored that rasper against Spurs. And then, like you say, it seems strange that he's played really well recently, Mendy. And then not only did he get sort of dropped because Wilfred Ndidi gets picked on Saturday, but then Sumeri comes on as a sub and not Mendy, John. I'm like, Mendy certainly feels like one of these players who can't seem to stick a run in the team, even though the fans seem to quite like Mendy. Would you pick him tomorrow night, or?
Well, I would have picked him on Saturday. I was
Yes.
surprised he was in there, because I think he links play. He doesn't lose the ball that often. He looks quite reliable in that position. Indeed, he can get caught in possession, as we know. And I think he's done enough in recent games to keep his place. So I was a bit confused by that selection. So I'd like to see him back in the side, certainly tomorrow, because I think he's kind of proved himself. There was a time when we thought he might disappear from the club, but he's come in and he's been quite reliable as well. So yeah, I've got some sympathy with that view. I'd like to have seen Mendy in there, and hopefully he'll be in there tomorrow.
Yeah, in there. Dorco says Mendy must be cheesed off. I would agree with him, and it could be. I think Mendy's contract runs out. I think he's one of those in the summer. There's a lot of players in the summer, so it would be interesting. Chris Ward says here, would you play a strong side tomorrow night? And do you think Leicester will win the FA Cup again? That's a big question. Sinky, how strong would you go tomorrow? Because in a way, this relegation sort of scrap we don't want to think we're in. Southampton away on Saturday, 5:30 kickoff. How first team do you go tomorrow night? I think he won't. I think he'll pick a mixed bag.
Well, I think he should go quite strong. There might be one or two changes. Your Luke Thomases and that sort of thing might come in and get a run out. But he'll have options on the bench depending how the game goes. Might be able to change it, which would make sense really. So yeah, probably not start as strong, but with a potential, to shore things up should he need to, because let's face it, when you're in that position like Blackburn or Leicester have been there, haven't they? Oh, good, we've got a Premier League side to play. They're going to go all out for it, and you wouldn't blame them for doing that. So it's going to be tough. I'm going to be sitting in the East Stand for the first time, actually. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going with some friends. I've always been in the lower part of the West Stand before, so hopefully get a completely different view and hopefully see some Leicester goals. But it can be an interesting game, that one.
I mean, Blackburn are fourth, I think, in the Championship at the moment, John. They've drawn 2 and then won 3. They had a good win away at QPR on Saturday, 3-1. They will be gunning for a return to the Premier League. Obviously, younger fans will not remember that, like Leicester, Blackburn have won the Premier League. They'll want to be back in. It's been a long time since Blackburn were there, John. I think they'll play a weakened side because they've got a big couple of eyes on Premier League money. Yes,
they have. Yeah, I can understand why they might consider making some changes themselves. I remember Blackburn in the playoffs. You remember way back when?
Yeah, 91.
David Speedy and all that.
Cheek fell over.
Yeah. Walsh, you'll remember that one as well, I'm sure. Yeah, so a long time since I've seen Blackburn in action. I used to like going to their ground, actually, when we played them back in the day. But yeah, I suppose both sides will be assessing what sort of side they want to play. And I think the team news will be quite interesting. Got one of their guys that's leading their scoring as well. So, yeah, I think it's a really interesting game. But, I think Leicester fans will be keen for us to get through this round, because the FA Cup is something we've still got to play for. So we want to keep it rolling, really.
John, you weren't commentating for Radio Leicester when Leicester famously went to Blackburn Rovers and Rooster Russell scored the winning goal in a 1-0 win, which was top of the table. I was there, and he pretty much handballed it in. You weren't commentating that day.
Yeah, what year was that?
Oh, it would have been in the early 90s, I think.
No, I wasn't doing it then. That might have been Jeff Peters, because I started in the O'Neill era.
The classic era.
They didn't always have commentary then. I did go to some games just reporting before we got the commentary deal.
John, I know. I wanted to pick you up on. You're sitting in the East Stand tomorrow, and obviously there's still quite a lot of tickets left for tomorrow, because I've heard a few fans saying it's 20 quid. They could have dropped it a little bit more to encourage a full gate. But John, just before we came on air, you were talking about you're one of these fans now, obviously, stuck in this. I'd almost call it no man's land, because you struggle to get. You've been applying for season tickets for years, haven't you? And just tell us a little bit about your issue and your grumble.
When I stopped commentating, I applied for membership, and that first year I was going to as many games as I could, but you're paying on average, I don't know, around £40 a game or something. And I worked out since I started, because I've got over 50 points. So if you work that out on an average of around £38, say, it's nearly £2,000 that you've spent over 2 seasons. And obviously a season ticket's probably going to half the price of that.
Yeah. So
it's got to the point now. It's got to the point now where I'm picking and choosing what games to go to.
Yeah, because you're saying that a season ticket would cost around 500 quid a year, but because you're having to pay as a member and go to most of the games, you're paying you're effectively paying £1,000 a year to do the same thing.
Well, I paid £1,000 in a year and a half, and I've looked at it and thought, I'm spending a lot of money on that. So I'm picking up tickets for the Bournemouth game this week. So I'm choosing like Southampton, obviously that's away. And on the TV. So, it is quite expensive. And we live in a time when you got to pick and choose what you're spending your money on. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of other fans will feel the same. It isn't like I don't want to go. Don't get me wrong. I do. But you've got a budget as well. So,
pick and choose.
So I'm hoping, I will apply for a season ticket, the end of the season, and fingers crossed I'll get one.
I've got a couple of, John, again, coming back to your commentating background in here. LCFC Grey says RIP, the legend that was John Motson. And Ross asks you here, Sinky, he says, did you ever work with the late, great John Motson, the voice of football?
I interviewed him at the King Power some years ago. I can't remember what year it was, but I think he just put a book out, and we were talking about his experiences of commentating. A lovely man. And you can see why, people liked him. The famous picture of him in the snow, with the snow falling, doing a pre-match report. I mean, he's a lovely guy. And what he did, the preparation he did for matches was extraordinary, because, it's okay, your home team, but the amount of research he did on the away side. And obviously he's doing it for TV. I think he did a bit of radio as well after that. But an absolute legend. So it was a real pleasure to meet him. I unfortunately didn't get a photo with him at the time. It's one of those things I look back and I think, why didn't I do that? But a lovely guy. I'm trying to locate the interview I did now, actually, and whether it's kept it. I think I might have done it at my time at the BBC. So it would be nice to try and rescue that. But it was a privilege to meet him.
We hadn't planned that question, so it's. I just thought, I don't know if you've ever met him, but it's great that you did meet him and give us that little story, John. So Ross says he's brought a sheepskin coat for tomorrow's game, as I'll be commentating. Yes, Ross is doing our watch along. Well, lovely if you do that. That's great there. Dorco there'll be quite a few free season tickets available next season after this year's displays. And Nick Moore says £1,500 for Brendan Ball. It's not been the most exciting £2,000 you've probably ever spent, John, the last two seasons.
Yeah, but we say that, we had a couple of good results back to back, scoring 4 goals each time.
Yes.
And okay, we've lost to Arsenal. They were top of the table. It wasn't very good. I get that, but the Madison factor we all know about. But it's Southampton this week. Hope we can get a result there. So you've got to keep the faith, as they say.
Andy says here, I thought they might have had a minute's silence. He's talking for John Motson at the match on Saturday. Do you think that would have been appropriate, John?
Yeah, actually, I think it probably would have, because a lot of the fans, I think he got, when he did retire and walked around the pitch, wherever it was, he got fantastic applause. And I think people would actually stand silent for a minute for him, but that's for the authorities to decide. But yeah, that would be a nice touch.
It's a nice idea.
Yes.
A nice idea. And obviously somebody who, especially people like you and me, John, he has been just always there in football for all those years. Bring it on to tomorrow's match, John, like we're meant to be talking about Blackburn. Let's just go, and I want people who are watching this to put in the comments as well who they would pick in the team. So, John, I'm going to chuck a few names out to you and say, would you have him or him? So let's start in goal. Would you have Danny Ward, or would you put Iverson in?
I'll put Iverson in.
Why would you do that? Just to give him a run out, or?
No, I think he's quite capable, actually, and I think in cup games there's a good chance to give somebody else a chance. So I think I go with Iverson.
A lot of people have put comments in, which I haven't shared them on the screen as yet, but like Jay says here, do you think we need a replacement for Danny Ward? John, I thought again on Saturday against Arsenal, Danny Ward shows flinches of like scary, hairy Mary stuff in goal coming out. For me, it's a definite replacement in the summer for Danny Ward. Are you convinced by him yet or not?
I wasn't to start with. Nobody really was to start with. I thought he got a bit better, but I still think he's not Casper Schmeichel, is he? Let's put it that way. And the other reason for picking Everson, because if he does go to penalties tomorrow, I think he's a good shot stopper. So I think that's another reason for putting him in.
The councillor says here, we're getting there defensively. Ricardo Pereira coming back is huge. Again, does he go into your starting team tomorrow, John, to give him some game time?
Yeah, I'd love to see him play. I think, Fass has done well. I think the partnership with Suter is looking quite good, but I think they may get, or one of them might get rested tomorrow. Christensen, I'm a real fan of, having been a left back myself. I think he's, you can just see his energy and his enthusiasm. And he had a great battle with Saka on Saturday. I think they had 2 or 3 fouls each or something. So, I love Christensen, but will he rest him? Thomas might get a chance tomorrow. So there's a few choices to make there. My old boy Sionchu may even get in, although I doubt.
Well, again, the quandary, isn't it, for Brendan is that Faz and Suter centre-back pairing is beginning to develop. Do you give it another game to get it on, or or will he rest it? Like you say, will it be Soyuncu and Amati maybe in there?
Yeah, it could be. Amati, we're not seeing him for a while. I think he was a regular in the team at one point. So it just goes to show how things can change very quickly. It's just nice that he's got the choice. Castagno, we know, has come in and played down the right, but I'm a bit of a Pereira fan. So will Tete... I looked when Tete first signed and I saw him playing that first game, thought him and Pereira could be quite exciting on that right, but Tete's kind of gone off the boil a little bit, so we'll wait and see. It's still early days for him, I know, but that could be quite good down the right-hand side. That's another story, of course. So,
yeah, John, you were just saying there about Tete.
Yeah, I mean, I was very enthusiastic when we saw him in that game where he scored a goal on his debut. So, he looks,
yeah.
Could it be another Mahrez? I think that's what everybody's thinking, isn't it? But in a way,
I think it's really interesting.
I like to see him play tomorrow because I've not seen him live as such yet.
Yeah,
and I think he's got the potential. but he's got to prove it.
I think it's really interesting that you picked up on Tete, John, because I've not seen any other comments about it, but it's something that I felt as well. Is like I'm sort of waiting. We had that Villa game where it was like, oh, it's Tete, it's amazing. I'm sort of waiting again now to see it. You know, is this player going to be regularly good, or is he one of these one in six players? You know, sometimes you find them where you go, oh, they are great every 6 games, they're amazing, but the others they sort of, because he didn't really do anything on Saturday again, did he?
Well, he looks like he likes to take people on and try and get to the byline, get the crossing, whatever. Has he got a goal scoring threat as well, if we want to see? But it may be a question of him settling down a little bit. But he's had, 3 or 4 games now? But yeah, still waiting for the blue touch paper to be lit again. And a chance for him to maybe prove something against a lower league team tomorrow. So if he gets in the side.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, LCFC Gray says here, Tete needs time to bed into the Premier League. It's not going to be easy, but like that's why John says play him tomorrow, give him more game time. Again, up top, and we'll come back to the midfield. I know we're doing this in no particular order, John, but you've obviously got Nacho, you've got Vardy, you've got Daka, you've got Barnes sort of up there as well. It's trying to create a threat out of that, because Daka and Vardy could both do with a goal, couldn't they?
Absolutely right. Yeah, and I think Nacho might get rested. So will it be Vardy or Daka? I think we'll see. I could see both of them at different parts of the match. So it might be Daka and then Vardy to come on later, or maybe the other way around. But I'm more inclined to say Vardy to come on later. But yeah, Tete on the right. I still like to see Barnes playing, because I think he's a real threat down there. And I wouldn't know who to put on the left-hand side, to be honest.
Yeah.
So Dewsbury Hall, Mendy in the middle. I haven't done the formation yet, but yeah. So those sort of players.
Dorco says here, Barnes disappointed me having to pass back 20 yards from the byline because he has to cut inside. Again, Barnes is another one who has been blowing a little bit hot and cold at times this season, John. Tete is a different type of player, says Nick, to Riyad. No matter how hard we try, we'll never find another Riyad, which I totally agree with Nick, because, John, you've watched Leicester long as me. I've only seen one Riyad Mahrez in all that time. There was Keith Weller. That, you know, we can have that debate, but there's you don't find many Riyad Mahrezes. I don't expect Tete to be anywhere up there.
Well, I think the reason I said that was because we're looking for a right-sided player who can cause a bit of trouble, not necessarily be a Mahrez, no, because he's gone on to great things at Man City. And, you know, I used to love watching him cut inside, and, you know, that left foot of his was a peach. But what we're looking for is somebody that's a bit adventurous on the right wing, I think.
Yeah, Nick says player 4-4-2 with KDH, Mendy, Tete, Barnes, Vardy, Nacho in there. Sonderax, watching on YouTube, says he would have Mendy, Sumare, not a Sumare fan, Kin and Dewsbury Hall, and put Sumare in that Yuri role. What's your take on Sumare, John?
I think he's got better. I think when he first started, I wasn't sure at all. I think my opinion has eased a little bit, because he is a big fella, and he can, you know, he's quite strong, kind of physically as well, and can impose himself on the midfield. Not sure about his effectiveness in getting us kind of going forward, though. I think, you know, Mendy holds the ball out, has got an eye for a pass, and we know that Dewsbury Hall can operate there as well. So I'm not sure about playing Sumare. I don't think I'd pick him as a starter, certainly for tomorrow.
No, I tend to agree with Nick Moore's comment I just put on. And LCFC Gray says Daka will probably start. I hope not. Sumare just ain't it, says Georgie Foot there. Craig says here, don't rate Sumare. I don't rate him either. I'm sorry. I just he's not anybody I rate at all.
He's not a number one choice for sure.
No, not at all. John, we're about to sum up now. So I want people who are watching to put their score predictions in. Let's have a little go at a score prediction. John, it's a tricky one to try and go for tomorrow, isn't it? Where do you feel the score may end up tomorrow?
I'm going for 2-0 to Leicester.
2-0. Quietly confident there, then.
Yeah.
Should be all right in there. Obviously, the crowd. Somebody's just put in there that they've heard that Blackburn are bringing 3,500 fans in there. That was Callum. Thanks for that in there. And somebody else put a comment in about the atmosphere on Saturday was a bit wet in the Leicester end. Now, John, I don't know if you know about this, but I'm asking people who are watching this. I've heard there's been the singing corner at the King Power, Union FS. There's been some sort of, I don't want to stir the pot, but falling out or disagreement between Union FS, the singing corner lads, and the club. But I don't know, quietness. So if you're watching this and you've got any updates on that, let us know and we can have that in there. But Sunderak says UFS went missing. I don't know what happened. David says in here 2-0 for Leicester. Also, don't think we'll score lots of goals, but we'll keep them out. They've not got Blackburn. John don't have an out-and-out massive goal scorer. They're not one of these teams.
I think the top scorer's got
the Championship.
I think the top scorer's got 11 goals or something.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm just having a look here. I don't know. It's Ben Breton or whatever. He scored 10 goals this season. So they're doing well in the Championship, but they're sort of spreading the goals out and about. They've not got like a 20-plus goal scorer who's ripping the league up. Ross says here, Blackburn haven't lost since they lost to Rotherham 4-0 in January. That was 9 games ago. He's got his Motty notes ready for tomorrow night, he says. Boohoo says, Saturday on the telly, all you could hear was the Arsenal fans in there. Georgie says, that corner, you don't even hear them in L1. I know what you mean, Georgie. I sit in P1 and we don't really get that. 2-1, says Ross. Will be a tough game, though. Andy says 3-3, then 5-4 on penalties.
Whoa.
2-0, says Matthew Waitman. Also think that Daka needs a good run in the team with a sporting striker, then he'll come good in his opinion. Joanna says she's in SK1. Joanna, what are you doing? You're normally in the family stand where I sit. So she says hopefully there'll be a lot of noise. Sinky, it's been great to join us. We hopefully get you on a lot more again, and we'll meet up next week for a coffee, I hope. So thanks a lot for joining us.
It's been a pleasure, Phil. Hope to talk to you again.
Fantastic. The legend that is John Sinclair, I'm going to let him go now. Thanks, Sinky.
Okay,
see you soon.
all right. See ya.
What a start he is. Great to get him on in there. Daka, last couple of comments before we wrap it up. Daka couldn't come good in a Sunday league, says Nick. Harsh, but I happen to agree with you. The councillor says, I can see a 4-1. We'll be up for it and Matters will come back. Sunderak says, I've said for a while the bottom half of SK2 behind the goal should be converted to safe standing and made a singing section. Flags, banners, drums, etc. Make it loud and safe. We've talked about the singing section. I think the club, if you actually look at where they've marked out, it's the singing section. They couldn't have put it in a more awkward or more disjointed area of the ground. I think anybody with any common sense who's ever stood or sang at a football match would look at that area and go, you've put gangways, and then there's the void in front and there's a big gap. Never going to work. You need to take one whole block, either SK2. For me, I'd have put it in P1, right next to the away fans. That's where the noise would generate from. That's what they should have done. I know why they've not, because they're too worried about causing problem, which is fair enough. I'm just a fan. I'm not having to steward it anymore. I have steward matches. If I was a steward like I used to be, no. Keep them over there and them over there. That's how we like it. As a fan, it's like, put them there. It's not rocket science. You'll get more noise. Sunderak says, the club haven't liked UFS for a long time. Yes, I know. Well, trust me. We've tried to talk to the club. Give up. Anyway, thanks for all your views. Thanks for all your comments. It's been great seeing you. All of those who watch this live, thank you. Thank you for John Sinclair for joining us. Go and say hello to him. If you see Sinky, he's in the East Stand. He's in the posh seats. Well, they're semi-posh over there in the East Stand. Go and say hello to him. Get a photo with him. Have a chat with him. Give him your views. If we don't win 2-0, make sure you see him and say, John, where's my 2-0? I'll see you next week if I don't see you at the match tomorrow night. Or, got Southampton as well on Saturday. Looking forward to all that. Thanks, as ever, to all these people who help Leicester Fan TV. See you next time.
Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. Are you ready for the show? Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pukka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Riders, Hollogram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newby Co estate agents. We want your views, we want your comments, so join us live. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.